All right. Hopefully you guys can hear us okay. If you can hear us, do me a favor, type something in the chat box, the question box, so we know that you can in fact hear us. As luck would have it, someone's driving by with a lawnmower right now. That's usually how my luck goes. So sweet. Thank you, JP, Dominic, for letting us know. All right, we're all good on audio. Awesome. All right, welcome. I'm Ryan Hoger. This is my cohort, Dave Herman. We've been doing these one a month, kind of as an open topic discussion thing. We usually pick a topic, we go through it, but then it's like open forum after that. If you want to ask something, it'd be great. Any topics you want for future, let us know. For this particular month, we opted to go through the Infinity Evolution furnace setup for the new C-Series boards that came out a couple months back. Some of you probably have seen them. Some of you may not have. We figured we'd go through that, and then we can see whatever questions generate off of that. Any questions you ask can be on topic, or it could be something totally random. You want to ask some random heat pump thing or refrigerant thing or whatever, that's totally fine as well. We just wanted to give you a forum to kind of get all the stuff out there. So what you're seeing on the screen right now is actually my cell phone screen. It's just like an app that we're using to push my cell phone to the video feed. We're actually going to log into that furnace sitting right there behind us right now. And we'll go through some of the setup screens on there. And once again, ask anything that you want as we are going. So let's see here. Let me open up my app. You can use either the Carrier or Bryant apps. It doesn't matter, either one. When you use it, you do need to log in with your HVAC partner's login for what I'm about to do. So when you look at this, it'll tell you NFC, which we have for the entry-level furnaces, the mid-tier furnaces, and the high-end furnaces that we're talking about today. And you can use that for all three of them. But instead, what we're going to do is we're going to go to the Bluetooth connection. It's going to be the same kind of information, but a little bit different. For those of you that have done the NFC, where you tap the phone on the board, that it basically reads the board, then you're no longer talking to the furnace. You change whatever you want on your app, and then you tap the board again to save the changes. The Bluetooth is a little bit different. The Bluetooth is a live feed, so you can see live data. It is only available on the Evolution Infinity, and it's only available on the modulating gas furnaces, the two-stage communicating furnaces, and the full inverters, not the 5-speed ones, but the full inverter ones. So I'm going to press Bluetooth on the right-hand side. It's going to give me everything in the area that I can talk to. And right now I got that furnace sitting behind us, as well as another unit in the lab here. So I'm going to pick the 59MN7 furnace. You can use the Bryant one on the Carrier furnace, and you can do vice versa. I happen to have Carrier on Carrier today. So I click the one that I want, and I say pair. Now, this is a live demo, so chances are pretty good something will crash on me, because that's usually how my life goes. We'll see if this guy connects up. And it did. Lucky day. Up top, it tells me the model number and serial number that I'm connected to. See if I can make this even bigger. I don't know if this is making it bigger for you or just me, but we'll try. I guess as long as it's bigger for me, it doesn't matter, because I don't care what you guys can see. No, I'm just kidding. I care about you. All right, hopefully that helps out a little bit. So there's three things you can do: setup, diagnostics, and firmware update. We'll look at the setup one first. And it'll go connect to that guy. For those of you that have done the NFC one, it's not quite as fast when you click on something, because the NFC version, everything's just happening on your phone and there's no communication to the equipment until the very end. This one is live, so it takes like a second for each thing that you click on. On here, there's a few different things. The Fahrenheit Celsius display is obvious. On the circuit board, there is a 3-digit display on there that normally shows error codes for all the furnaces, but on the mid-tier and the high-end, so the Performance Preferred and the Infinity Evolution, it'll also show you the temperatures on there. By default, there is a return air temperature sensor that's just dangling there in the cabinet off the circuit board. It's like a 2-inch wire, basically.
Yeah, 2 to 3 inch.
Right? And then the supply air sensor ships loose, and you have to physically install that one yourself. The reason being is that that one obviously can't be after the evaporator coil on a furnace and be factory installed, right? Because the coil's field installed. So you need to mount that yourself. Ideally, you would have that not in line of sight of a heat exchanger. So in the case of the one behind us, I know you can't see there, but the place that Dave mounted it was after we make the first turn. So we have our plenum comes up, we make a right-hand angle, and you put it a foot or two after that turn to get.
Then that is the preference per factory. So after your first turn, off your plumb.
And sometimes there'll be a job where like the first turn happens above the ceiling where you can't get to it. Like it is what it is. You got to make it work, obviously. But obviously after the first turn's better. Try not to put it like in corners, like dead zones. Try to get in the middle of the ductwork where you're more likely to have airflow going across it. So that's that first one. It just tells you Fahrenheit or Celsius. Or the factory default, as you can see, was off, meaning it does not display the temperatures. I've been changing them to Fahrenheit because I prefer the temperature to be on the board. Why would I not want to see that? So I've been changing it, and this one, obviously, we already changed. The next choice on there is heating airflow. And by the way, these are the same changes you can make on the furnace. You can make them on the stat, or you can make them with the NFC chip, any one of those places. In general, Dave and I were talking and figured if you have an Infinity Evolution stat, you're probably not going to mess with this app. Like you already have it on the stat. You're already used to how you do it. You're probably just set up the way you do every other job. This would probably be more for if you don't have the thermostat on there and you're going to use a different stat.
Which has happened in the past.
Yeah, people
When
love
we
their
were-
Nest.
Well, we were out of the thermostats.
What?
We're
I
out
don't
of
know
the-
what you're talking about, Dave.
It was just, it was COVID. They had COVID.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
So
yeah.
there was delays.
I don't remember that.
There were some delays, so you guys had to install regular thermostats with those jobs and go back later once you got them in.
These are the same four settings you would see. The one nice thing about this versus the thermostat is it actually tells you the CFM on there. So I don't know if you can see that on your screens or not, where it says efficiency 2 up top, up on that one. If I click on it, even if I don't click on it, you can see that it says high 1198 CFM, intermediate 521, low 411. So you can see the CFM you're going to get. A lot of times you don't know the CFM you want, so that part doesn't matter. But if you're doing like a spec job where somebody actually designed this thing, then maybe you are trying to get to a specific CFM. Factory default is comfort 2, and you can go lower than that, or you can go 2 levels higher than that to get more airflow. One thing to keep in mind is the word efficiency does not mean it's more efficient. Efficiency is less efficient. I know that's stupid. I get it. It's always been that way on these furnaces. It uses more fan energy. It's labeled as efficiency because it's one of the efficiency rating points for the AHRI test, which doesn't help you in any way, but that's just the way it's labeled. The cooling airflow, a little bit different on there. So one of the things you can do there is on the top, you can pick the tonnage you want. I think we got this on it's a 2-ton. No, it's a 3-ton, right? That one's on a 3-ton. So I pick 3-ton, and then I can select the CFM per ton that I want. So maybe I want 325, get dehumidification, and it recommended that I put this on speed 13 down here for the suggested speed. If I told it I wanted 400 CFM per ton, it's going to suggest that I pick a higher one. And I can also override it and do whatever I want, right? I can make my own choice and slide it up and down. But if I want to do the math for me, 325 per ton is pretty normal choice that we would have, unless you can't get enough airflow on the ductwork. Once you get it the way you want, you say, okay, right? Low cooling airflow works the same way. You can slide it up and down. You could also at the top click on that auto select based on the cooling airflow. So it automatically takes whatever you pick for high cooling and just chops it down to a lower cooling airflow, right? Or I can manually pick it if I want, right? So probably going to have it auto pick most of the time. Continuous fan, that's a preference type thing. You can pick whatever airflow you want to be at for when they run a continuous fan. And you got different choices on there. For each one of them, you can pick what they are. So if you've ever used, this is something you really can't do from the Infinity Evolution stat right now. So this is actually a better version of that. You could pick low, medium, and high, but you can't define what they are. Here, you could actually define what the 3 airflows are that the customer sees on the stat. These are probably pretty good. Low is the lowest, high is the highest, medium is right in the middle. Seems pretty logical to me, but you could do something different if you prefer. Blower off delay, just like other furnaces. If you're having high limit trips because your ductwork sucks and you don't want to fix your ductwork, you could bump this up. It's a Band-Aid, obviously. Cooling blower off delay. The default is 90 seconds. You see that I've already changed this one to 5 seconds. I like the fan to shut off relatively quick after cooling so the water drains off the coil and doesn't re-evaporate into the air. Totally a preference thing. Nothing's going to break either way. Heat thermostat staging. You could pick by default a single stage stat. Obviously, if you have an infinity evolution stat, that takes priority. It'll override these. But if you're going to wire a traditional stat, like David mentioned, you could pick what you want. So you could pick a 2-stage stat or a 1-stage stat. If you pick a 2-stage stat, you could pick what first stage means. Does it mean you're running the lowest heat possible, or does it mean you're running medium heat? So basically like 40% or like 65% of gas flow. Ish. I think it's 40 and 65. It feels right.
Sounds right.
We both agree that it sounds kind of right. And
Yeah, it's close enough. And if you use a single stage stat, that'll give you the modulation. So if you hook up on a single stage stat on the modulating furnace, that will give you full modulation on that furnace. You know, similar to when you have the infinity control, but it will not be as quick reacting and as accurate as if you had the infinity control. That's a lot better. But that does work with a single stage thermostat, standard thermostat also, just not as well.
Furnace orient. Oh, I skipped one. Cooling thermostat type. Same kind of discussion there. I could pick 1 or 2-stage stat wire to it. If I pick 1 stage, it'll try to, or it will handle the second stage for me based on its time delay algorithm. Furnace orientation, all that really does is it when you put the furnace in a downflow, the display on the board gets flipped upside down, which would be annoying, obviously. So it flips it back the other way digitally, so you can read it. That's all that really does. I don't think it does anything else. The inducer boost, factory default is off. You can put it on, and that, as it tells you there, increases the inducer RPM for the low heat capacity. I'm not sure exactly how much it increases it. That's come up a few times, and I don't know.
I don't know if
It's not well documented.
I don't remember. Yeah, remember them listing it specifically, but it's a lot of guys just tend to turn that on.
It seems like if you have
there,
you're like a normal install and the furnace is sitting there and you got 10, 15 feet of pipe going onto the sidewall, you probably don't need this. But the longer the pipe run gets for the venting, the more likely you're going to want to run at a higher RPM. It's a little more noise, a little more energy, but if that's what it takes to get the air out of the pipe, then so be it. So it's kind of like, without having any specific data on it, you're kind of guessing based on what your gut tells you on each job. Longer pipe run on, short pipe run off, and then everything else obviously is in between somewhere. And then the last one is airflow display. That was defaulted off, and I turned it on as well on this furnace. That'll show you the airflow on that little 3-digit screen. So it'll rotate between any alarm codes if you have them, obviously, the mode that you're in, heating, cooling, etc., the supply air, the return air, and then the airflow. And then it'll go back to the beginning of the list again. So I like to have that on. I don't see any reason to turn it off, but some people are weird and it's off by default. I'd rather have more info than less. Right. And I didn't really change anything, but if I did, I would have to save those settings. Let me change something. All right. So if I change something on the airflow display, I hit continue, and it would say, do you really want to change it and turn that display? Yes, I do. Continue. And then it'll go make that change. And up the top, there's that little blue bar, almost like the old school timer on a computer. And now I've successfully made that change. If you want, on the bottom where it says share config, you can share it, and it'll pop up my phone here on my options and sharing it, so I could email myself or text myself a report. I would recommend you do the email version, not the text version. For whatever reason, like I'm an Apple user, Dave's an Android and an Apple user, right? You have both?
Yeah,
He's bilingual.
I do everything.
So if I was to send it to his Android phone, apparently I didn't realize this, but you can't send a PDF between Apple and Android. You can send images and stuff like that, but not a PDF. So just to make all of that argument and discussion go away, I would send an email version of it to whoever I was going to send it to, Dave, myself, the shop, whatever. And now you can't read that report, but it shows you the PDF report of all the settings on there, whether they were ones I changed or not. So after you set up a job for Mrs. Jones's house, you want to email it for your job file or something, you could do that. See if we have any questions on that before we show you the other screens on here. Nobody, any questions? All right, as you guys have questions, type them in and we'll do our best to answer them. The second option of 3 options on there is diagnostics. So this would be the one that would be more useful to do when you're connected on Bluetooth. The setup thing, it doesn't really matter to me if you tap the NFC, go to the stat, or do it on here. But the diagnostics, it'd be nice to have live data. So that's what we're doing now, is going to talk to that board to get live data. We don't have any fault codes because Dave installed it and it's perfect, obviously, no doubt. In the past, we've had fault codes though, because other people have touched it. Obviously not Dave and I. But I'll tell you the fault history there if you have any. You can also expand it and see more stuff. So obviously this isn't a lab, so we're always messing with things. We got plenty of things failed on there over time. And then you can also see how many times in the bottom you've had each fault, right? So whatever it is. So fuse fault 4 times. I'm actually surprised the guys didn't blow more than 4 fuses.
Doing better.
We haven't had the teenager class yet this year though, right? The teenager class is pretty good for fuses. But I'll show you those. Up at the top where it says unit history, I can switch over to that. And now I can see more data that way. I can see how many times it's cycled, heating and cooling, how many times the blower, how many hours it's ran in each mode. So obviously this is only run 4 hours in low, 4 hours in high. Pretty much runs in class and then that's it. It's been installed 77 days, right? 2.5 months.
No, it's long. I think. May not be. Well, maybe it's
I don't know.
everything blends together.
I wonder if when it's not powered, if it doesn't count things. It's a good question. And then down at the bottom there, I get a couple extra pieces of data. Specifically, I can see the supply and return temperature in real time, which is probably one of the better reasons to have the supply and return air sensor on there. Not that you can't put your own probe in there. You obviously could, but this is already there. It's already built in. You'll be able to see it on the app. You'll be able to see it on the little display screen of this furnace circuit board. And if you have it connected to your Infinity Stat, or if it's the mid-tier furnace and you have it connected to an IntelliSense Ecobee, that data will be pushed remotely to the dealership via the contractor portal. You can see that data too. Obviously, this thing's not running right now. We have it shut off to keep noise a little bit quieter in here while we're talking to you guys. But you would have the RPM data there and obviously a higher supplier temperature if it was running. Questions on that? I'll back out of there. And the last thing on there is the firmware update. So you have the ability to update the circuit boards in there. This works exactly the same if you have the 26 SEER AC or 24 SEER heat pump. You can update the circuit board and the inverter boards on those as well remotely. So I have the same option here on the furnace to update those boards remotely. In this case, all my updates are current. We have it set up for the stat, the Infinity Stat, to push the updates to the furnace. So there's no updates for me to manually do here. But if I didn't have the stat set up that way, I could force updates to happen here. So you can update stats and you can update furnace boards. In this case, there's multiple boards inside the furnace. All right, what other questions you guys got? Or any questions that you guys got? On this or other topics? They're just so quiet. Well, while we're sitting here and you guys are thinking of questions, I'm going to go ahead and connect to the AC unit on this other system just so you can kind of see what that looks like. That's the top one here, 24 VNA 5-ton we have here in the lab. I'll pair to that. It's going to be fairly similar. Take a minute to connect, and then I'll have live data to that board. Or not. We'll just stare at it circling.
It's been taking a while. Let me get that one.
Want me to shake it?
Hold it above your head. That stat on, and we can turn that on so you can see that.
Wonder why I'm not pairing to that one. Bluetooth module is not compatible with this product. I've talked to this thing recently in the past week. Super weird. Try it again, just for argument's sake. I shouldn't have pushed my luck with trying to do 2 live demos in one time. It's weird. It said Bluetooth module not compatible with this software. It's weird. Try one more time. I know, I've connected to it numerous times. I don't know why it didn't connect this time. It's odd. Because I'm in a live demo mode, that's why. You guys can all see Dave wiring a thermostat now. Seriously, nobody's got any questions? We're kind of hoping you guys would interrogate us each month with random stuff. And we're just putting a topic out there just to kind of get the ball rolling. Anybody get their first R54B unit yet? Try not to poke that bear. I'm gonna screenshot that so I can troubleshoot that later. That's super weird. All right, that's not gonna connect. Dave will probably be able to connect to it because Dave's more advanced with the APPs than I am. All right, well, if you guys don't have any questions, then I guess I'll hang up the call. Did yours connect?
Trying.
Of course, yours isn't connected to my laptop, so.
And just plug it in.
Yeah, it's not plugged in. That's just power. My phone's dying. All right, David asks, during setup of the Ecobee 6, it wanted me to download the Home app. Do I use that or stick with the Ecobee app? That's a good question. So the Home app obviously is the carrier app that we use for Infinity. It replaced the old Infinity app, and the reason for that was to be able to tie all the different kinds of stats in together. So they can honestly use either one, David. The only time I would give you an actual preference would be if they had like an Ecobee on the second floor and an Infinity on the first floor for some reason, then they don't want to learn how to use two. Damn it, Dave's phone connected. Then they don't want to learn how to use two apps because that would obviously be annoying. So that's the only time it would matter. Now I put them both on the same app. But if they only have one stat and that's all they have, or maybe they have like an Ecobee at their cabin somewhere, right? And they got an Infinity over at their house in Illinois. In that case, maybe they want one app and you put them both on the same app. But other than that, it really wouldn't matter. I fairly like how the Ecobee app works, and maybe it's because I'm used to it, right? So I would probably prefer that one, but you don't necessarily have to do that. See if I can turn this screen off. So for whatever reason, you guys can't see that, but Dave's phone actually connected to that condensing unit, but mine won't, because Dave's actually more advanced than me at technology. He'll even tell you.
I'm more advanced technology wise.
David said it happened when I tried to use the phone to set up Wi-Fi. You turn that on?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're active.
Is that your Apple phone?
Yeah.
Oh, we actually could do that then. Now let me disconnect mine. Here, go, go. Might have screen mirroring you stated. Maybe not. All right, maybe we can't do yours. Look that later. Yeah. We're challenged. Dave's phone will connect to the unit, but it won't connect to my laptop. So whatever. Other questions other than David? All right. Well, if nobody has any other questions, we'll go ahead and end it. This is recorded on YouTube, so you can watch it there later if you want to refresh something or show it to somebody else. If you have interest in future topics, email me, text me, call us, and we'll add those on to the schedule for the future. Like I said, we're doing these every month, so whatever comes up. All right. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.